Over the past 2 decades, spending on police has continued to climb nationwide, making up 1/3 to 1/2 of some cities' entire budgets. The police-related deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor have taken police defunding, once considered a far-left issue, and pushed it to the fore. Calls to defund or even abolish the police have flooded Twitter, appeared on protest signs, and been echoed by lawmakers around the country. But what do these ideas mean in practice? Organizations like Black Lives Matter, People's Budget LA, and Black Visions Collective want to move taxpayer dollars away from surveillance and broken windows policing toward addressing community needs. We need divestment from the police and a radical investment in communities of color, including housing, jobs, and education. DeRay McKesson, a Black Lives Matter organizer and co-founder of the police reform think tank Campaign Zero, wrote on Medium. Most in the defund the police camp don't expect law enforcement to be stripped of all financing. Instead, they're asking for some of the billions poured into police coffers to be reallocated to services that better serve the community and result in less violence and death at cops' hands. A woman holds a placard calling for the defunding of the Seattle Police Department at a Black Lives Matter demonstration on June 6, 2020. Toby Scott, SOPA Images, Light Rocket via Getty Images. Currently, police in much of the U.S. are the ones responding to overdoses, homelessness, suicide attempts, and other social welfare calls. When the Minneapolis City Council examined the city's 911 logs, for example, it found most really required the fire department, EMTs, or mental health professionals. According to reformers, when law enforcement shows up, the situation often escalates into a physical confrontation. An officer trained to see killing as not that big of a deal is more likely to choose a violent response rather than de-escalation tactics. About half of those killed by police had some kind of mental disability, according to a 2015 Ruderman Foundation report. The notion of taking these responsibilities away from law enforcement is gaining traction. According to a June 2020 poll from Data for Progress, nearly 70% of voters support creating a non-police agency of first responders to address situations involving mental health issues or substance abuse. In Los Angeles, the People's Budget was created to show exactly how defunding the police might work in the city. The report suggests just 5.7% of funds be allocated to law enforcement, with 24% going to reimagined community safety programs, and 44% on universal aid and crisis management. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio, left, announced he is cutting the NYPD budget and reallocating funds to support youth services. Associated Press on Sunday, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio announced he was cutting the NYPD's budget and moving resources to youth and social services.